Hey there, my name is Megan. This is the Little Fish Stitches podcast. I'm coming to you today from Aberdeen, Washington, which is on the coast, a little tiny town in the southwest part of Washington. Let's see here. I live here with my husband, Brian, and our two sons, James and Connor, who are 14 and 8, no longer 13. James just had his birthday on Monday, which was yesterday. Yeah, I have a 14-year-old. That's weird. Nobody told him he could grow up. How did that happen? Anyway. Yeah, so that's me. That's my family. We also have a dog named Bella who, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen a picture of her recently. She's a... what is she? I think... we don't know for sure what she is, but we think she's part pit bull, part walker hound, maybe? Yeah, we're not sure. She's a rescue dog. So, anyway, let's move on. I am slowly creeping up there to the 100 subscriber giveaway for the YouTube subscribers. When we get there, I will create a thread in Ravelry for the Ravelry group. And I'm sorry, guys. I'll tell you right now, I'm on a new medication for my medical issues, and it's making me a little loopy. And, yeah, so I'm trying to get my body adjusted to that, but it's been a little weird. It makes me really tired. So if you see me acting tired, that's why. Anyway, back to the 100 subscribers. In the Ravelry group for the Little Fish Stitches podcast, I will set up a thread when we have reached 100 subscribers, and you can go over there and join that group and comment on whatever I end up asking people to comment about on the thread. And then I'll give away a project bag and a skein of yarn, both of which are created by me but yet to be decided. So there you go. Alright, so that's it for administrative stuff. And again, this week I decided not to write show notes because I don't want to. So I'm like, it feels like homework and I don't want to do that. So no, just not gonna. I do have 2 finished objects. They're both socks. I'll warn you right now. First pair is a pair I made for my 8-year-old son. So they were a 2-day project. And he did not want long socks. He wanted short socks. So that's what he got. So these will fit my 8-year-old son for the next 3 years because his feet never grow. Seems like it anyway. Who knows? Maybe he will actually start growing at some point. But my 8-year-old is 49 pounds. Yeah, that's little for an 8-year-old. 8.5-year-old. Anyway, so there we go. I knit these on size 1 needles. I'm trying to remember the stitch count I did for him. I think it was about 26 per needle. I did them 2 at a time, toe up. I started with 10 stitches, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 10 stitches. So 10 stitches on the toes. Widened up to about 24, 26. And then just, worked in the round. This yarn, I left the label downstairs, but this was one of my yarns from one of my wool swap packages. So he picked this from my wall of yarn back here. And I still have enough to make me a pair of socks, probably. So that'll be fun. We'll have matching socks. We might have several pairs of matching socks because we're going to get some Christmas socks out of some. I showed you guys last week the little lollipop yarn set. He wants a pair of socks out of that too. So I figure that I can do because my feet don't take a whole lot of yarn. I take about 50 grams of yarn less than 50 grams of yarn to make a pair of socks. If I do, I mean, I could probably do an entire pair of socks with 50 grams of yarn, but I like to do the contrast toes and heels for myself. Anyway, so Connor's socks are done. And they took literally 2 days. So that was a super fast project. And then this pair I showed on Instagram the day that I finished them. And sorry about this, they are dirty because, you know, I had to wear them to Vogue Knitting Live. So anyway, this is my Radioactive Barbie. And it's a vanilla sock for me, and I did this one toe down, or top down, not toe down, there. And because that's what I felt like doing at the time, apparently. And I came up with my own little texture pattern. So somebody did ask me to write it down or publish it or something. I might do that at some point, but it's super easy, so it would be a free pattern if I did that. Anyway, I did the Fish Lips Kiss Heel on this. Size 1 needles. I think these ones I did, I mean, I have what we call duck feet in my family. Short and wide. Size 7 women's US. But very, very wide. I always have to buy wide shoes if I can find them. If I can't find them, they can be really uncomfortable. But anyway, I digress. I can't remember, but I think this was 34 stitches per needle on size 1 needles. So, yep. And I decreased down to about 14 for the toe, and then did the Kitchener, which I am getting slightly better at, but it's still kind of terrible looking. Never looks quite right to me. But anyway, those are my Radioactive Barbie socks. And this is yarn that I dyed. In case you weren't aware, I do dye yarn. And you can see that they have nice micro striping. Yes, and they're looking a little fuzzy where I'm looking at them right now. But anyway, I'm very happy with these socks. I've worn them twice since I finished them. And it's time for another sock wash because I don't have enough hand knit socks to wear on a regular basis. So, I would have to do, if I was going to wear a pair of hand knit socks, I would have to do, you know, every 5 days or so, a sock wash day. So, that's it for finished objects. Let's see here. Sorry, I keep sniffing. My sinuses are wacky. That's all I can really say about it. I have tiny, tiny sinuses according to an x-ray my doctor showed me a few years ago. So I'm always kind of sniffly whether I'm sick or not. So, yeah. Works in progress. Let's talk about that. How many? How many do I have today? I have 6. It's been 2 weeks since my last podcast. Because last week on Tuesday, which is my normal podcasting day, I had a doctor appointment and it was Halloween and I was just like, I'm not gonna podcast today. Nah, not happening. So I thought about doing it this past weekend, but I'm like, no. I'll talk more about my week this past week, in my chattery section at the end. But it was a busy week. It was a very busy week. So, anyway, I will start with my husband's Donegal sweater. So last time I showed you this Donegal sweater, I was still working on the back piece. See where that hamburger is? That's where I was last time, 2 weeks ago. So, this is the back. This is, this will go up his back. So I finished this whole section, and it's all curled, sorry, because, let's see, there. Anyway, this would almost fit me. Anyway, I might have to borrow it from him sometime. Anyway, so yes, Donegal sweater back, finished. Yay! I feel like I'm like a third of the way through the sweater now. Stay put. And then I put the rest of his sweater in my Fantastic Beast bags that I made. And there is a few still available in my shop if you are interested in getting your own Fantastic Beasts / Dark Lord bag. Well, they had to go together because they're from the same, you know what I mean. They're from the same fandom. That's it, right? That's the right way to put it. Anyway, so in my Fantastic Beast bag is what I have worked on since. So I cast on, I got the ribbing, and I've got about, well, that's like 1 1/4 repeats of the main chart. So making good progress. So let's see if I can do it this time. Last time I tried to unclip the hamburger from this guy and move it up, and it did not want to cooperate. Oop, dog hair. Because, you know, dogs, they shed their hairs everywhere. Oh, look, I got it off. All right, now it's going to live right here on there. All right, moving right along. That is whip number 1. It probably has been on my needles the longest. So I need to get a wiggle on that. Those British podcasters I watch say that, and I think it's cute. Get a wiggle on. Next. Okay, after I finished Connor's socks, I cast on a pair of socks for Brian. So here's another Brian project. And I'm working these 2 at a time. Oh, I forgot to say this yarn that I'm using is Malabrigo Rios in the Cereza colorway. And the pattern is the Donegal sweater by Moira Engel. So, in my, I think this is technically an acquisition. I don't think I showed this on my last podcast. Look at that. It's perfect for me. Today's good mood is sponsored by coffee. Because every day, that's how my good mood happens. Well, not really, but I love coffee, so I had to have it. That is from the Knitting Broomstick. Her, Jilly, the Knitting Broomstick, she has a podcast. So, I have Brian's gigantic foot. I'm glad he doesn't have bigger feet than he does. Socks. So, the toe is some anonymous yarn that was in my stash. That is sock weight. And the green and blue stripey is Jorstad Creek. I know the label's right over there, but I can't tell you what the colorway is right now. But yes, and I think this is actually lace weight yarn. I am not 100% sure, but Jorstad Creek is a dyer who is local to me. She's in Olympia. She was the yarn dyer who was at the Black Sheep Yarn Boutique when I was there doing my trunk show back at the end of September. But I have my little Wizard snack box from Simply Serving HK. Lindsay makes these. Came in one of my kits that I bought from Jen of the Perfect Stitch Fiber Company. Anyway, so there you go. Brian's socks. Here's Brian's foot. His big man foot. Let's see, how far do I have to go to get to the heel? I would say I'm like halfway through the foot. Yeah. So, I got a ways to go yet. These ones are kind of, they're kind of boring me a little bit. Honestly, because they're not for me. I'm such a selfish knitter. Yeah. Anyway, I need to get back to working on these. Like, I need to get back to working on a sweater. I did make good progress on the sweater, though. So, anyway. I'm knitting these on my new ChowGoo size 1 needles. I really like the cord on these compared to my old one. Because I have a pair of size 1 ChowGoos that I got a couple years ago, where the cord is not nearly as flexible. It's more like a wire that you can crimp, and this one is not like that. But I have to be careful because these are really super sharp, and my other pair are a little bit duller. But yeah. So there's good and bad about my new set of Chow Goo needles. Anyway, so that's Brian's socks. They're just plain vanilla. And then I have, let's see here, stacking things over here. Let's go with Jamie's stocking. So I'm working on Jamie's stocking. Hey, you know what? Despite me being a selfish knitter, I have made something for my son, Connor, 2 things for my husband, and I have something else for my other son, James. So this is not going to look like a whole lot right now, because last week I showed this to you, and I was really irritated with how the thing was looking. So I ripped back his stocking. And I'm just barely started on the color work chart that's, I mean, the picture that is the bears that he'll be having on his. So, anyway, that's Jamie's stocking. Progress made, but not quite the kind I wanted. I need to get back to work on this too, because I have mine and Brian's to make before the end of this month. I would like them done because I always decorate for Christmas, the Thanksgiving night. So, I need to get this done so I can hang it up. Anyway, so there's that. I did actually work on it. It just went the opposite direction and then a little bit forward again. So, somebody on Instagram, one of my friends on Instagram had posted a picture of her color work that she was working inside out to help the floats be more even. I might have to give that a try with this because it was really frustrating me because some of these floats are like really, really long and I'm working in a small circular needle. Yeah, I'm thinking this might need to be turned inside out because right now this just looks like a big mess. I'm definitely going to have to line this with something. So, yeah. Yeah, I might have to try that inside out thing. So I'm knitting. The pattern is one of a set I got from Annie's Woolens. It's there's like 8 or 10 patterns, I think, for $17. It was cheaper than buying separate patterns, so that's what I did. And then I picked one for me, and I let the guys pick out theirs, and now I gotta make them. But yeah. Size 7 needles. Trying to think what else is there. It's Cascade. The gray is Cascade 220. And the navy is Donna, something or other. And then the neon green color is Cascade 220 as well. So that's what I'm working on there. Now to get back to work at it. Like, have to turn my work inside out and work it that way. That would be interesting. It'd be confusing, though, because I've already started, and I might have to try it with the next. Yeah, I would have to try it with the next, because this would be impossible. I would have to rip it out and start over, and I'm not doing that. So, maybe on my next stocking, I will try working the color work inside out. And now everything's all tangled because I turned it inside out. Ah! Okay. Alright. Saved it. Okay. Except, oh good lord. I'm going to have to fiddle with it later. Anyway, this is living in my little Christmas boxy bag from Jessica Ruth Knits that she included in one of her de-stash, I can't talk, de-stash purchases I made from her. And I think this bag is so stinking cute, and I don't know who made it, but I like it. Ta-da. That's the bag it's in. Okay. Moving on. Put that back over here. In my favorite bag from the... I always have to look at the little... I have her postcard up on my wall. That crafty little fox, because her label is so stinking cute in the first place. I mean, I don't know if you can see that. There you go. You can kind of see it. Her little fox. But anyway, in this is what I think the smallest bag she makes. This is my Cozy Memories blanket, and I did quite a bit of work on it. I have my needles in for the next square, but I don't have my yarn picked out quite yet. So, alright, what did I do? So the center 12 squares were already there from last time I showed you. So, this is Cascade Heritage. This is something. Mountain Colors, I think, in their Springberry colorway. I think. If I'm wrong, please correct me if you know what it is, because I know some people would. And then if you don't recognize this, you're blind, because this is the same as my socks I showed you a few minutes ago. This is the Radioactive Barbie colorway, and you can see the stripes get thicker as the point gets smaller. But anyway, and then down here I did this. This is I think it's Wisdom yarns, and they're, oops, what did I knock down? Okay. In the, I don't know what the colorway is, but the yarn is obviously self-striping, and I'm probably going to do another square of this somewhere further along in the blanket, because this is just a sampling of what is in the stripes. There's a whole lot more than this, so I might, I would be starting with this purple and black section and moving on in the stripy pattern. But anyway, this is a bamboo wool blend, so yeah. I have a whole bunch of this yarn left. I could probably make another pair of socks for myself out of it. Or give it away to somebody else. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I'm at with my Cozy Memories blanket. Not quite as crazy as I was the last time, but making decent progress on it. So I'll put that back in the bag for now. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do next. I have a little ball of the yarn from Connor's socks. That's what I was going to throw in there next. Just hadn't done it yet. So that's it for the Cozy Memories blanket. I have 2 whips left out of 6. Let's move on to this. And this is living in another bag by that crafty little fox, Jessica, I believe her name is. And I'll show it to you in a little while because it's an acquisition. Alright, so here we go. Here's my Sunset Highway sweater. Da-da-da. And you see where my TARDIS is? That's where I was last time I showed it on the podcast. So I haven't made a huge amount of progress, but I am making progress. I mean, I didn't really intend to start another sweater for myself until I finished Brian's, but I just couldn't resist. So there, I did it. But it's been a little neglected this week. I think the last time I worked on it was about a week ago. So I would have made more progress if I hadn't had, obligations. So I've got my little donut stitch marker on here that never wants to focus this close up. So, but anyway, so this dark blue is Jorstad Creek, some color. I know the brand, I can't tell you the color. This light green is Malabrigo sock in the water green colorway. Just using up what I have. And this olive green that I've just barely started in. You can't even really see it. I'll show you the back because you can see the floats there. The olive green is Vintage Pearls, I believe is the brand. I don't know what the color is. It's something weird. It's an odd name. Anyway, so yeah, that's all my colors. Vintage Pearls came from one of my swap packages, and it was perfect. Just fit this along, and my main body color is going to be this, which I believe is called the Spice Market. or something like that. And this is also Mountain Colors, the brand, I believe. Don't quote me on that. So, made a little bit of progress on Sunset Highway. And last but not least, in this itty bitty, this was my prototype project bag for my small size. And I really like this bag, even though it has its faults, definitely. But this is one of mine. I have my little label on there. I like popping down. This one has pretty stiff sides. I like popping down because that inner fabric is so cute. So in here is a pair of, well, not a pair yet, a single sock still for me. And I am making a Mercury sock. And if you follow my Instagram feed, you might recognize this yarn. This is my Christmas colorway. And it is officially listed in the shop, by the way. And I'm calling this Leave a Peppermint Stick for Old St. Nick. And this is the Mercury sock pattern. I'm just using the lace chart and doing my own stitch count and sock, whatever, because I wanted to do toe up, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is supposed to be cuffed down. So I'm like, no, I want to do toe up. So there. So I just used the lace chart. Since it's a free pattern, it was easy enough to do. So it's the Mercury sock. Just look it up on Ravelry. My toe and my heel are, I don't know what this one is. It was in my Find Your Fade. It's a silk wool blend. I used this on the hippo that I made as well for my great niece. It was the contrast for the paws. That's what hippos have. Do hippos have paws? What do they call those? Hooves? No, I don't think so. Hippo feet. There you go. Anyway, I'm getting close to done with the first one. I've got a few more inches of lace to do, and then I'm going to do the cuff in the pink again. So yeah, I would say I have like 2.5 inches or so. And I started this sock Saturday when I went to Vogue Knitting Live, and I did not even get through the toe because I was so busy having fun. Yeah. But when I came home, I think when I got home on Saturday, I was able to work to about there for the sock. Yeah. Main body of it. Anyway. That's it. That's all my whips, you guys. That's ridiculous. Half an hour in, and I finally finished all my whips. Finished showing you all my whips. Not finished them. Okay. So, acquisitions. This is going to be another big one, you guys, because Vogue Knitting Live. So, couple days, I'm going to start with the older stuff first. A couple days after my last podcast, I went up to Olympia, and used my birthday code at the Black Sheep, because she does this, you get like, I think it's 10% off on your birthday or something like that. So I got a couple things. I picked up a set of stainless steel sock blockers in size large for my husband and son socks. These are Bri-spun stainless steel. Yeah. And apparently they're made in Eugene, Oregon. Didn't know that until I just looked at the tag. So, super exciting. Sock blockers. And then, sorry, looking down in my bag. This is literally the bag that I was got when I was shopping. And then you saw a glimpse of this a moment ago, but I got myself a crazy Zobber ball. I'm using my birthday discount code. I'm going to get something that's a little spendier in her shop. So this was a 24. But I'll get a pair of socks and then maybe another pair of socks out of this. I don't know. Because it's 100 grams, I'm sure. So trying to read. Yeah, 420 meters, 100 grams. I don't know what that is in yards, but, you know, whatever. 100 grams. I know that 100 grams can get me 2 pairs of socks, so. Not that I'm sure I want 2 of the same pair of socks, but I like this one, and I got it as a birthday treat for myself. And then, this was a trade with Jen of Perfect Stitch Fiber Company. This is her shop anniversary colorway that we did the kits for. I did the here it is, the sheep bag, except mine has roses and hers had polka dots, and it's been crumpled sitting on the floor. But anyway, this was a kit, and there was a little sheepy cupcake stitch marker that went with it from Lindsay of Simply Serving HK. So anyway, so I traded Jen a bag for a skein of yarn, and this was my mine. And then, sorry you keep getting the top of my head because I keep looking in my bag that's on the floor. Sorry, it's a paper bag. It keeps rattling. Try to pull stuff out that I'm going to show the last of this little batch of stuff. So, I had my friend Emily, who does the Down the Hobbit Hole podcast. She lives in Tennessee. She contacted me on Instagram like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, something, not too long after my last podcast, and asked if we could do a swap. She wanted one of my holiday bags. I was like, is it within reach? It's not within reach, but I can see it. It's the one that's the wood grain with the plaid and woodland animals and stuff. She really liked that bag, so she's like, can we swap? So I'll give you a skein of yarn for one of your project bags. I was like, oh yes, absolutely, because I've bought her yarn before. I really like it. So she let me pick what colorway, and I've been wanting to do Christmas socks, so I picked her Christmas color for this year, and this is called, where is it? It's Christmas Cheer. And it's on her Elven base, which is, let me read about it, 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 10% tencel. So there's about 433 yards on here. And it's just make a fun pair of socks for me and Connor. Because, you know, my feet are little and so are his. We'll get 2 pairs of socks out of it. And she was so sweet. She included, I have eaten 1 packet of candy out of here, but all this candy and some hot chocolate because she knows I'm not a major tea drinker. I do drink it occasionally, but it's rare. So, yes, all sorts of yummy treats in here that I'm not giving my boys. They're mine. And she also included, she was so thoughtful, she knows I'm making my Cozy Memories blanket, a little mini in this, can you see it? There's a little bit of sparkle in it. For my Cozy Memories blanket. So thank you, Emily. That was great. So yeah, that's that set of acquisitions. And then, well, I'm going to show you some fabric acquisitions because they're sitting on the top of the bag. That's why. I have a bag here full of stuff from Vogue Knitting Live, and but I have acquired some fabrics recently that I don't know yet if I'm going to be making bags out of everything, but I liked them. But they'll probably eventually become bags. So I got this really cool geometric teal print. And then this one was impossible to resist. And these are not normally colors I like to choose, but the print made me choose it. I mean, it's just like, you have to buy this. There's no choice. It's yarn. Like, hey, you're coming home with me. So there's that. And then on Friday this past week, I had to go to Olympia, which if you follow me on Instagram, you saw my crazy snow picture. That was interesting. But anyway, I stopped at Joann Fabrics because I had an awesome coupon of 25% off just this past weekend in store. An entire purchase, sale prices included. So Connor and I went to Joann Fabrics, and Connor helped me pick some of my fabric. So, the first one that we spotted was this Constellation fabric. So, we thought that was really cool. So then we had to find a fabric to go with it. And we found space fabric. So there's going to be some space bags coming to the shop sometime when I get around to making them. And then I found Beauty and the Beast fabric. And I just like this whole stained glass window look of it. And it's so fun. And then I was thinking, I have some of this rose fabric left still. I was thinking this rose fabric and Beauty and the Beast fabric, they go together. They go together like a lot. So there might be some Beauty and the Beast bags in the shop in the near-ish future. Anyway, there's that. Sorry about the sniffing. I sniff a lot. I realized when I watched my podcast back to edit it, I'm like, stop your sniffing, but I can't help it. I'm sorry. So if my sniffing annoys you, I apologize. I'm trying not to, but at the same time, I have sinus issues, so can't be helped sometimes. So that's the fabric. Plopped on the floor. And then let's start with, okay, here's my, turn it around so you can see the label. My giant bag from Knit Picks booth at, brain not working. Go Knitting Live. Alright. So, I started out at the Knit Picks booth and I got Felici. This is the Punch Bug colorway. And I only got one because I have discovered one is sufficient for a pair of socks for me. And then I got Spring Blooms. And then I think this is my favorite of the Felici I got. And then I got, where's the other one? I got 3. Where'd it go? It was buried in the bottom. There it is. Candy Shop. So, more stripy socks coming my way at some point. And then I went around looking for my sweater's quantity of yarn for my Comfort Fade Cardi. And I spent a ridiculous amount of money, I'll tell you right now, on this. But I'd been stashing all my cash that I had come in from various odd jobs that I, do for people, sewing wise or whatever. So this is from Dye House Yarns by Serial Knitters. And this is the one that got me started. So I got 2 skeins of this. And I just love this. It's a little unusual for me. This lighter purple is something that does not always work well with my skin tone, but I think this particular one works all right. So I liked it, and I like the browns, and there's a little bit of blue in there, and natural, and it's just pretty. And I was like, I couldn't resist this one. It came home with me. So there's that one. And then I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's going to fade into this. So this is by Polka Dot Sheep from Whitefish, Montana. I got 3 skeins of this one just to be safe, because I wrote down all my yardage requirements for each colorway that I needed. So And I'm also going to alter the pattern a little bit and make a hood. So if I do that and anybody wants those instructions at some point, I will make sure I write down what I do, because I wanted a hooded cardigan. So this is my second color, I think. So it's going to go like that. I mean, they go so well together. I mean, they're very similar, but this one's more purple, and then this one is more pink. And then I got, trying to find places to put this yarn. Hey. And then I went back, because I had gone to the Hazelnuts booth to start with, and then early on in my round of I can't talk, sorry. I'm trying to organize the yarn in my hand and not lose my bag off my lap. And anyway, so I got this Queen of the Night is what this is called, and I just love this deep, rich purple. And then Acorn. So these are all the colors that I'm going to be making my Comfort Fade Cardi out of. Let's see if I can hold them all up together. I'm not sure exactly what order I'm going to do, but I'm thinking, I don't know. Because the purple and the brown, I have the exact same amount. Ooh, I'm kicking the tripod. Sorry, I'm trying not to lose my bag off my lap, so I'm holding my legs up. Anyway, so that's going to be my Comfort Fade Cardi. I'm excited about it. It's a lot of yarn, though. It was insane. Stacking it all over here on top of my whips. And then I went back to the Knit Picks booth because I had a little extra cash, and I'm like, I'm not walking away from here with cash in my hand. So I got a couple of their stroll fingering hand-painted ones. Trying to see the names. This is the Raven Tonal. Okay, I guess it's tonal, not hand-painted. I don't know. Whatever they call them. Anyway. So there's that one. And then this is the Red Wing Blackbird. So this one's hand-painted, apparently. And this one's tonal, apparently. So, anyway. A couple more sock yarns to be used, most likely for me, in socks. And then I went back, because we had gone before, and I went with a couple ladies. I'll talk about them in a little bit. When I got a few pins. You hear them all rattling. So we went back to the Starlight Knitting Society booth, and they had a bunch of great yarns. Seriously, I was like, why am I out of money? Oh yeah, I bought a sweater's quantity of expensive yarn. But anyway, so I got this colorway, which is called Molly, and it's from Junk Yarn. This is my first skein of junk yarn, which I believe this is a Canadian dyer, and I've seen a lot of her yarns featured on other people's podcasts, so I'm excited. This yellow just spoke to me, and it had to come home with me, so it did. And that is it as far as yarn. I just got a serial knitter pin, and it's probably not going to show up very well, but I'll try to show it. Starlight Knitting Society pin. And this is the littlest one. A polka dot sheep pin. So, there you go. That's my haul from Vogue Knitting Live. And what an insane haul. My goodness. So, shop news is I have listed a few new colorways of yarn. I should have brought them up here with me. The only one I could show you is the Christmas one, which you saw. I'm working on my sock, my Mercury sock. So, yeah. I also put in I put some of the Radioactive Barbie in the shop. as I was able to recreate it without much trouble. And I put in 3 new colorways, which was the Christmas one and the, which I'm calling Leave a Peppermint Stick for Old St. Nick, because the line of that song kept rolling through my head as I'm looking at the skeins, as I'm twisting them up. Leave a peppermint stick for Old St. Nick hanging on the Christmas tree. Sorry, didn't mean to sing, but I couldn't help it. Then the yellow one, the half and half, creamy with speckles and then bright yellow. I couldn't help it, you guys. I had to name it Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, because somebody was telling me a story on Instagram. And it just made me laugh so much that I had to name it that. I couldn't help it. And then the dark black blue one, I decided to go with Shayna's suggestion of Gothic Peacock. Shayna of Fate's Thread. So that one is Gothic Peacock. And then, yeah, so there's still lots of bags listed in the shop. There's new yarn listed in the shop. Christmas bags, sheep bags, Fantastic Beast bags. Also, I just want to say thank you to everybody who purchased something from the sale that I had for my birthday month. You guys made this my best month ever. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm thinking I will probably be doing a Black Friday sale, or like Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale, so keep your eyes open for that. And then probably for the first few weeks of December as well, I will probably have some sort of holiday related sale. So like free shipping, maybe 10% off plus free shipping might be happening. So keep your eyes open for those kind of things. And I think that's probably it for shop news. Pod Love. Pod Stars, that's what I call it. You know, when you don't write show notes, you don't remember what you call your segments. So anyway, Pod Stars. The only really new to me podcast I started watching was the Dog Dare podcast, which is David. I started watching him because, well, I was watching the Mean Girls Knit podcast and they really like him, so I'm like, well, we'll see what he's about. So he's really interesting. He talks not a lot about knitting, but a lot about other things, so it's like broadening my horizons a little bit, so it's kind of cool. He does some weaving and some other things that, you know, he's really into a variety of crafts, which is cool. It's fun to hear about them, and his room of requirements that he does his podcast from is really interesting to look at if you're not got your eyes on your knitting. So, yeah, so he's an interesting one to watch. I've watched about 4 or 5 of his podcasts. He doesn't have a huge amount, but it's like, it seems like he gets one out about once a month from the looks of it. So, yeah, so I've been enjoying him. And I guess that's all for Pod Stars. So, and I guess now we can move on to chatty stuff, live stuff. So like I was saying, this past week and a half, 2 weeks has been kind of busy, like insane, maybe a little bit. On my birthday, right shortly after I was done doing my podcast on my birthday, I found out that my husband's grandmother had passed away. She was 96 years old, so she lived a good long life, and it wasn't really a surprise. It was just a weird thing to have happen on my birthday. Yeah. I'm kind of thankful we didn't actually celebrate my birthday until the next day because it would have, I'm like, yay, it's my birthday. Oh, Brian's grandma died. So yeah, it was kind of a weird day all around. It was just kind of a weird day. But since she passed away, we of course had to deal with things like the funeral and the graveside service and family being in town and from out of town because Brian has a lot of relatives up in Canada and his sister lives down in California and so we spent a couple evenings over at Brian's parents' house with his sister and her son and just hanging out because, her son is basically the same age as my older son, Jamie. He's like, I think 3 months younger. Anyway, so they're pretty close as far as cousins go, so they like to hang out when Angie and her kiddo are up here, so. And then, so we spent, a couple nights hanging out with family, and then we, the Monday following my birthday was the actual funeral, which was, I decided to not have my boys come to the funeral, and I'm kind of glad I did because it was an open casket funeral, and I'm not sure I wanted to explain that although it might have come in handy, actually, thinking about the graveside service. But anyway, the fact that, okay, here, you guys are going to laugh at this, but, because I laugh at it too. My boys, they're like, oh, our aunt's in town, our cousin's in town, let's go hang out and have fun, and why are they here again? Oh, your great-grandmother died. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Really, guys? Really? So, that's part of the reason they didn't come to the funeral. The other part was, I've been to a couple funerals for my husband's family, and they've been open casket. I just wasn't sure I wanted to have my kids see a dead body yet. I didn't see a dead body until I was 16, when the father of some friends of mine died suddenly, and yeah. And we went to his funeral, and it was open casket, and I was not prepared for that, and I was 16 years old. So anyway. So we did that on Monday, and that took the entire day, of course. And then on Tuesday, we had my follow-up doctor appointment with my neurologist to get the results of my MRI and my lumbar puncture. So at this point, the only thing I really know is I definitely have transverse myelitis in my upper spine. The lumbar puncture came back perfectly clear, so there's nothing wrong there. The MRI of my brain showed a few small lesions. So the next step was to get a second opinion. At this point, I haven't really said what they think the diagnosis is, but I think I'm going to say it now because, they think I possibly have MS, but my symptoms are not, what they see on the scans they've done on me are not typical of someone who has MS, but they're not sure what else it would be. So, I'm going to see early December. I just got a call about the appointment yesterday. In early December, I am going to Seattle to see a specialist at Virginia Mason. As someone who specializes in MS, and I have to bring all my scans up for them to go over and figure things out. And then, yeah. So that was Tuesday, doctor appointment, and I was it was also Halloween. So we went to my doctor appointment, and then my doctor appointment was in the morning. We came home. I worked for a couple hours, I think, and then the kids got home from school, and yeah, and then my husband had to deal with trick-or-treating for them, because my feet weren't, and still aren't, where they could probably go out trick-or-treating with the kids. Yeah. And then Wednesday was the graveside service, and it also happened to be November 1st, and it was also a Wednesday, which every first Wednesday for my kiddos' school district is a half day, early release day, something like that. There's a difference, of an hour between those two items. I think it was the early release one. But anyway, so the kids got out of school early. I worked in the morning until it was time for me to get ready to go. I ran into town, which is 20-something minutes, to go get my older son from his school. Came home, picked up Connor from the elementary school, which is a minute from my house. Picked him up a little early, and then ran home, made them change into nicer clothes because they were both in sweatpants. And then we ran back into town all the way to Hoquiam, which is it was a half-hour drive from our house to the cemetery where they were burying Brian's grandma. And we sat there for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, in a cold, rainy cemetery. While my children, specifically Connor, were asking very odd questions about how you bury people. It was fun. Funny. I know this is an odd description of a graveside service. There weren't a lot of tears. There was a lot of love. There was a lot of laughter, singing. She was 96. She lived a good long life. It would have been awesome because, I guess it's a big deal, at least in Native culture around here, for someone to live to be 100. I mean, it's a big deal for anybody to live to be 100, I think, but there's some cultural significance to it that I'm not sure I understand since I am not Native, but it seems to me like they would have been happy to have her live another 4 years, or 3.5, really, because of where her birthday falls. But she didn't make it quite that long, and that's okay. She lived a good long life. And from what I've heard about her, I didn't really know her very well myself, even though I've been married to her grandson for 17 years. She lived a really interesting life. And I would have loved to know her a little better, I think. But she had Alzheimer's a good chunk of the time I did know her, so it was kind of hard to get to know her. Yeah. So it was a good funeral, graveside service thing. And Connor and his questions kept everybody entertained. Oh my gosh. He's like, I think the funniest question ever was, they had her casket, which they put inside a concrete casket thing, and then there was a lid to go on top. And Connor's very interested in the whole process of how someone was buried. And he was saying some funny things or asking some funny things, really. And he's like, as they were putting the lid on, after the casket had been lowered into the grave, and the lid was being lowered down by the bulldozer thing, he turns to my sister-in-law, who lives here sort of locally. She lives out by Lake Quinault. He asked her, how are they going to be able to get that off again? She's like, Connor, great grandma's dead. She's not coming out of there. Oh. So, it was definitely a learning experience for Connor. Jamie did not have nearly as many questions, being at that point nearly 14 years old. So it was funny. And, it was good to see family that we don't see nearly as often as we should, probably. Yeah. So, and that's just, I feel like I've been talking forever, you guys. My recording is over an hour now. Craziness. And then, so that was Wednesday. Thursday was just a normal go to Ocean Shores, work with my work team day. Friday was the crazy snow day where Connor and I went to Olympia for his doctor appointment, and about halfway there it starts snowing like it's a blizzard, and or I'm like, are we gonna make it? Because, seriously, it was insane snow. I have a little bit, I live in Western Washington. For us, insane snow is almost any snow. But, I feel like I'm a fairly confident driver in the snow, and the people around me were not so much a confident driver. And so I had to accommodate them, although I was passing quite a few people. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't feel like I was being unsafe, if that makes sense. But I drive an SUV. A lot of the people I was passing were driving itty-bitty cars, like the kind you would be scared to be in the snow, I guess. Anyway, so we drove up for his doctor appointment in the crazy snow. I was not dressed for snow. I was dressed for a fall day in the Pacific Northwest, which was a t-shirt and a sweater. And, yeah, not a regular coat. Oh, by the way, you guys, do you see this thing I'm wearing? That's a new acquisition. Yeah, hot topic. Anyway, yeah, so, and on Saturday, this past Saturday was Vogue Knitting Live in Seattle. And oh my gosh, I had so much fun. Oh, besides the fact that I got to buy an insane amount of yarn, my friend Becca, hi Becca, I know you watch this because this is how we met. My friend Becca came with me. She met me at my house, and we drove up to Tacoma, where we picked up Shayna. Hi, Shayna. She's the crafty person behind Fate's Thread. So I had when I had bought my ticket for Vogue Knitting Live, I'd like, anybody else from the Pacific Northwest area want to go together or meet up or anything? And she's like, yes, me. So we picked her up in Tacoma and drove up to the Maidenbauer Center, which is actually in Bellevue, not Seattle. If you are a Western Washingtonian, there's a difference. But anyway, we met up. So we went up there, we parked, walked to the Maidenbauer Center, walked in, and we're like, I have a little bit of video, not a whole lot, from the entryway of the shopping area, the marketplace, that I will include at the end, I think, probably. And yeah, we just walked around and looked at everything. I think we did like one rotation of all the booths that were there, and then we made our decisions on what we were going to buy. And it took us, I think we got there about 10:30 in the morning, and then I think we left around 2-ish, something like that. Anyway, so we were there for quite a while, walking around, looking at everything. There were some crazy displays of like art type displays. There was this one artist who takes wax and somehow knits it and then uses it to make a mold, and then she puts like glass. Anyway, it was crazy. It was cool. It was crazy. I'm like, how do you knit wax? I don't get it. But and then there were, if you look at my Instagram, there was these gigantic, right inside the door, these gigantic knit crochet teddy bears. I'm like, who, first of all, who needs a teddy bear that big? Second of all, they're crazy. Kind of fun to look at, but they're crazy. So, and then there were these like noodly things, red and orange noodly things that were made out of yarn, and like they were just like giant socks basically with no toes or heels. There were some amazing, awesome yarns, and I wanted to buy everything, and it was really good fun. I got to meet Janine of the Yarn and You Girl podcast and her shop. She's got her own yarn shop online thing. She was so sweet, but we were only able to talk for like 2 minutes, and then craziness happened. Also got to meet Cece and Dammy of the Geeky Girls Knit podcast. I was like, I turned around and I was in a somebody's booth, and I was looking at yarn, and I turned around and I'm like, hi! They were right there in the booth with me, and it was not a big booth, it was small, so we were like just close to each other. It was funny. I mean, I knew they had moved to the Pacific Northwest. So it didn't completely shock me that they were there. But yes, it was kind of surprising. And right now, Cece has hot pink hair. And I gave her a sample of my yarn. I did bring some yarn samples, but she was the only one who got one because I was too busy shopping for yarn to be giving away yarn. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. So I got to meet them and say hi, and so that was fun. And then apparently I also saw, she's Orange Knits on Instagram. She's the one who designed the Rose City roller socks. I saw her at a couple different points, but I didn't realize who she was until afterwards when I was at home scrolling through Instagram, and I'm like, hey, I saw her like 2 or 3 different times. Because she's got bright yellow, like not blonde, yellow hair right now, like this kind of yellow of this bird right here. And so she's kind of hard to miss. Kind of like, there was a lot of fun hair colors there, like mine. A lot of purple hair. I don't think I saw anybody as quite solidly purple as mine, though. There were a lot of ends. But anyway. I got to watch a fashion show. I think it was the first fashion show of the day. Just the Vogue knitting fashion show. There was some really cute stuff. There was some really weird stuff. Becca and I and Shayna were sitting there and we're like giving each other the side eye for some of them, and we're like, ooh, that's cute, you know. But it was a lot of fun. I had a great day. It was nice to meet Shayna in person. We had a good time. I got to buy lots of yarn. It was a good day. And it was a lot of walking, though. And my body was not happy with me. And then Sunday, we did my son's birthday party. Which was insane. Because Sunday morning, I made the boys clean the house before we went to church. And as much as they, I'm like, Connor, get all your stuff out of the living room. Jamie, clean the kitchen, this kind of thing. And then they went to their grandparents' house after church, like they do 90% of the time on Sundays, which is kind of nice. Gives us parents a break on the weekend for a few hours. And so they went to, went to the grandparents, and then I went running around like a crazy person. I had to go buy the birthday cake because I wasn't making one this year. First time in a long time I haven't made his birthday cake. And then he also wanted Domino's pizza for dinner, so I had to go pick up Domino's, which is in Hoquiam, which is 25 minutes from my house. And then I had to put it in the oven to keep it warm until it was time to actually eat it. But he had a good birthday. He got money or like Google Play gift cards, and he got Brian picked out a little mini. It's about this big mini. What do you call those things? Drone. Just like the little 4 little propellers in it, and he's been playing with that and enjoying it greatly. And I got him a sweatshirt. He likes just plain boring hoodies, so I got him a navy blue hoodie and a Justice League t-shirt. And Connor, although he didn't get to pick it out himself, got him some Harry Potter socks. And, yeah. Oh, and thinking of Harry Potter, my mother-in-law, you guys, my mother-in-law got me for my birthday 2 weeks ago the entire book series of Harry Potter audiobook version. That was my birthday gift. Oh, and we had dinner at a Mexican restaurant on the day after my birthday for my birthday dinner. And she comes in late. Sorry, Becky, you were late. With this box that is like this big around. It's like, it was a square, so it was about that big. I would say 8 inches square, maybe. Like 4 feet long. It was ridiculous. And so it was the last one I opened up because it was leaning against the wall behind me. And I open it up and I'm like pulling out newspaper. There's something heavy in the other end. Apparently it was a brick. Pulling out newspaper. And then I find this little package. Little CD-sized package. And I'm like, what the heck is this? I was not expecting to get that. I mean, it was on my list, but I was like, it's a couple $100. I'm not expecting to get it. I have the best in-laws ever, you guys. Besides the fact that I love them and they're awesome, they're great gift givers. Yeah. So I got all the Harry Potter books, including The Cursed Child, which I haven't read yet. And I've been listening to them. Sorry, I'm a little itchy here. I've been listening to them almost nonstop since I got them. I was CD that I was able to put the files on my computer and then load them onto my phone so I can listen to it in the car while I'm driving. So yeah. And I just realized at the beginning of the episode I did not tell you thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. See, I should write notes, but I really was not feeling it. So, there were no notes today. But, just want to say thank you for those of you who are returning viewers. I appreciate you coming back. For those of you who this may have been your first episode, welcome. I'm glad you joined us today. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. And I'm just about ready to wrap up, I think. I've been talking, according to my phone, for an hour and 15 minutes now. Hooey! Goodness. Yeah. So hopefully there won't be 2 weeks between this episode and the next one, because apparently I have too much going on in my life my knitting life, to wait that long for an episode. So yeah. Also, places you could find me, I will list over here somewhere, or across my face, who knows, I don't know, probably over there. Yeah, so I'm on Ravelry and Instagram and Facebook and there's an email address, and my Etsy shop. So those are places you can find me. And look for some videos at the end of my crazy past couple of weeks. I guess I better stop talking now and just say goodbye. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys again in hopefully about a week. Happy knitting.